Have you ever found yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 in the morning, wondering where all your hard-earned money actually went? It is a suffocating feeling, a tightness in the chest that I know all too well. You work 40 hours a week, you give your best energy to a job, you wait for that direct deposit to hit your account, and yet, 5 days later, you feel like you are right back to zero. It is not just about the numbers in a bank account. It is about the feeling of running on a hamster wheel, exhausted, and getting nowhere. Today, we are going to stop that wheel. We are going to dismantle the invisible trap that keeps you poor even when you are earning a steady salary. We are going to dive deep into the very first and most critical pillar of financial education, the one that exists entirely between your ears. Before we talk about investments or savings accounts, we must completely rewire the way you perceive value, consumption, and your own life energy. Most people believe that the solution to their financial problems is simply more money. If I asked you right now what would solve your stress, you would likely say, if I just had an extra $1,000 a month, everything would be fine. But statistics and behavioral science tell us a very different and much harsher story. There is a phenomenon known as lifestyle creep, and it is the silent killer of wealth. When your income increases, your brain immediately justifies new expenses to match that new level of comfort. You convince yourself that you deserve a better car, a bigger apartment, or more frequent dinners out because you have worked so hard. This is not a math problem. This is a behavioral problem. If you cannot manage $2,000, you will certainly not be able to manage $20,000. The chaos will just be more expensive. This is why we see lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years. They had the capital, but they lacked the internal infrastructure to hold it. Let us look at the psychology behind this. Why do we spend money we do not have to buy things we do not need? It often comes down to a dopamine hit. We live in a society engineered to trigger your impulses. Every advertisement, every notification on your phone, every perfectly curated image on social media is designed to make you feel incomplete. They are selling you a feeling, not a product. When you buy that new pair of shoes or order that expensive takeout, your brain releases a short burst of pleasure. It feels like relief. It feels like control, but it is a lie. That feeling fades in 20 minutes, leaving you with the bill and the lingering emptiness that the purchase was supposed to fill. You are trading your future freedom for a momentary chemical reaction in your brain. This is the first realization you must have to build wealth. Money is not just currency. Money is time. When you spend $100 on something trivial, you are not just spending a piece of paper. You're spending the hours of your life you had to work to earn that $100. If you earn $20 an hour, that dinner cost you 5 hours of your life. Was it worth 5 hours of sitting in a cubicle or standing on your feet? When you start to view every expense through the lens of your life energy, your spending habits naturally begin to change. I want you to think about the last time you made an impulse purchase. Be honest with yourself. Was it because you truly needed the item, or was it because you had a bad day at work? Was it because you felt lonely, bored, or simply because it was on sale? We often use money as an emotional bandage. We treat our anxieties with retail therapy, but the therapy is toxic. This emotional spending is the leak in your financial ship. You can row as hard as you want, earning more and more, but if the boat has a hole, you will eventually sink. The first pillar of financial education requires you to become a relentless observer of your own behavior. You must separate your emotions from your wallet. This is incredibly difficult because we are emotional creatures, but it is the only way to break the cycle of poverty. You have to learn to sit with the discomfort of not buying. You have to learn to find satisfaction in security rather than in accumulation. If you are finding value in this honest conversation about money and mindset, and if you are ready to finally take control of your financial destiny, please take a second to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps this message reach more people who are struggling in silence, just like we once were. Your support truly means the world to us and allows us to keep creating content that empowers you. Now, let us dig deeper into the concept of the wealthy mindset versus the salaried mindset. The salaried mindset focuses on income. It is obsessed with the hourly wage or the annual salary. It asks, how can I get a raise? The wealthy mindset, however, focuses on net worth and cash flow. It asks, how can I make my money work for me? You might be thinking, but I am an employee. I rely on my salary. That is fine. Being an employee is a great starting point, but it should not be your identity. You must view your job not as the end goal, but as your primary investor. You are the business. Your employer is simply the client who pays you for your services. Your goal is to take that revenue and manage it with the precision of a chief financial officer. A business that spends every dollar it earns eventually goes bankrupt. Why would you run your personal life with a strategy that guarantees failure in the business world? Let us address a major objection I hear constantly.
People say, I want to enjoy my life now. I could die tomorrow. This is the philosophy of the grasshopper, not the ant. While it is true that life is unpredictable, statistically speaking, you are very likely to live a long life. Do you really want to arrive at 60 years old, tired and unable to work, with absolutely nothing to show for 40 years of labor because you wanted to enjoy life when you were 30? True enjoyment of life comes from peace of mind. It comes from knowing that if you lose your job tomorrow, you can survive for 6 months without panic. It comes from knowing that you have options. Debt is slavery. When you owe money to the bank for a car or a credit card bill, you are obligated to work. You cannot walk away from a toxic boss. You cannot take a break to learn a new skill. You are trapped. Financial education is the key to unlocking the shackles. It is about buying your freedom, $1 at a time. I want to introduce you to a concept called the hedonistic treadmill. Psychologists use this term to describe our tendency to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes. You get the promotion, and for 2 months you feel amazing. You buy the nicer clothes, you drink the better wine. But very quickly, that becomes your new normal. The happiness wears off, but the expenses remain. Then you feel the need to reach the next level to feel that happiness again. It is a race you can never win, because the finish line keeps moving. The only way to win is to step off the treadmill. You must decide consciously what is enough. You have to define what a rich life looks like for you, not what Instagram says it should look like. Does a rich life mean a luxury handbag, or does it mean having the time to read a book on a Tuesday afternoon? For me, wealth is the ability to sleep soundly at night. It is the ability to help a family member in an emergency without going into debt. That is real power. Let us talk about the power of small numbers. We often dismiss small expenses because they seem insignificant. What is $5 for a coffee? What is $10 for a subscription I barely use? Over time, these small leaks create a massive flood. Let us do the math. $5 a day is $150 a month. That's $1,800 a year. If you invested that money with a modest return of 7% over 10 years, you're looking at over $25,000. That small daily habit is costing you a down payment on a house or a brand new car paid in cash. This is not to say you can never buy coffee. It is to say that you must be intentional. Every dollar that leaves your pocket is a soldier that you have sent away. You want to keep your soldiers and make them capture more soldiers for you. When you spend mindlessly, you are sending your army into a battle they cannot win, and they never come back. To truly master this first pillar, you need to conduct a forensic audit of your life. This brings me to a challenge I want you to undertake. I call it the 72-hour rule.
For the next 30 days, I want you to apply this rule to every single discretionary purchase. If you see something you want to buy that is not a basic necessity like food or shelter, you must wait exactly 72 hours before buying it. Write it down on a piece of paper or in your phone. Note the item and the price. Then walk away. Do not look at it. Do not keep the tab open on your browser. Distract yourself. Go for a walk. Read a book. Focus on your work. After 72 hours have passed, look at that list again. I guarantee you that in 80% of the cases, the urge to buy will have completely vanished. You will look at the item and wonder why you even wanted it in the first place.
The dopamine rush has subsided, and your rational brain has taken back the controls. This simple habit alone can save you thousands of dollars a year. It puts a barrier between the stimulus and the response, giving you the space to make a decision that aligns with your long-term goals. Another critical aspect of the mindset pillar is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. This is classic financial literacy, but it is often misunderstood. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Most people think their house is an asset, but if you are paying a mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and it generates no income, it is technically a liability in terms of cash flow. It takes money from you every month. Your car is definitely a liability. It loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. The wealthy focus on acquiring assets, stocks, bonds, real estate that pays rent, businesses, intellectual property. The middle class focuses on acquiring liabilities that they think are assets. They buy a bigger house thinking it is an investment, but they become house poor, unable to invest in anything else because all their cash flow is eaten up by the mortgage. You need to shift your focus from looking rich to being rich. Looking rich is easy. You just need credit. Being rich is hard. It requires discipline, patience, and the ability to say no to immediate gratification. We also need to talk about the social pressure of spending. We are social animals, and we have a deep-seated fear of being ostracized from the tribe. In modern times, this manifests as the fear of missing out. Your friends are going on a trip to Europe. Everyone is posting pictures. You feel a knot in your stomach because you're sitting at home. You put the trip on a credit card just to fit in. You have just sacrificed your financial peace for social approval. You have to get comfortable with being the odd one out.
You have to be comfortable saying, that is not in my budget right now. It takes courage to say that. But here is the secret. True friends will respect your discipline, and often they are secretly relieved because they are struggling too and trying to keep up appearances. By being honest about your financial boundaries, you give others permission to be honest about theirs. You stop the cycle of competitive spending. Consider the concept of the time value of money, but in reverse. When you borrow money on a credit card at 20% interest, you are effectively working for the bank. You are enslaving your future self to pay for your past self. Every dollar of interest you pay is a dollar that could have been compounding for your retirement. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who does not, pays it. Right now, if you have consumer debt, you are paying it. You are on the wrong side of the equation.
The mindset shift here is to develop a visceral hatred for high-interest debt. You should view it as an emergency, a fire in your house that must be extinguished immediately. You cannot build wealth while you are drowning in 20% interest rates. It is mathematically impossible. I want to share a story that illustrates this mindset shift perfectly. There was a study done years ago involving children and marshmallows. You might have heard of it. Researchers offered a child a choice: 1 marshmallow now, or 2 marshmallows if they could wait 15 minutes. The researcher would leave the room. Some children ate the marshmallow immediately. Others agonized, covering their eyes, singing to themselves, doing anything to distract themselves from the temptation. But they waited. Follow-up studies years later showed that the children who were able to wait for the second marshmallow were more successful in almost every area of life. They had better health, better scores, and yes, better finances. This ability to delay gratification is the single most important predictor of financial success. It is not about how smart you are. It is not about your family background. It is about your ability to control your impulses in the present for a greater reward in the future. Financial education is essentially training yourself to wait for the second marshmallow. It is realizing that the car you buy in 5 years with cash will taste so much sweeter than the car you lease today with debt. Let us apply this to your salary. When your paycheck hits, what is the first thing you do? Most people pay everyone else first. They pay the landlord, the phone company, the grocery store, the gas station. Whatever is left, if anything, they save. This is backwards. The wealthy pay themselves first. Before you pay a single bill, you take a percentage of your income, even if it is just 5% to start, and you move it into a separate account that you do not touch. This is your freedom fund. You treat this savings contribution like a bill that must be paid, just like your rent. If you wait to save what is left, there will be nothing left. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. In finance, expenses expand to match the income available. If you do not remove the money first, you will find a way to spend it. It is human nature. You have to outsmart your own nature. Many of you might be thinking that you simply do not earn enough to save. I hear you. The cost of living is high, but I challenge you to look closer. I have seen people earning $50,000 a year who save more than people earning $150,000 a year. It is rarely an income problem. It is almost always an efficiency problem.
It is about where your priorities lie. If you track every penny for a month, and I mean every single penny, you will be shocked at the waste. The unused gym membership, the food that goes bad in the fridge, the late fees because you forgot to pay a bill, the premium cable package you never watch. These are the termites eating the foundation of your house. Fixing the foundation requires honesty. It requires you to look in the mirror and admit that you have been careless with your resources. It is not about guilt. Guilt is a useless emotion. It is about responsibility. Once you take responsibility, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of the economy and start being the architect of your life. As we continue to explore this first pillar, remember that your mind is a muscle. Just like you go to the gym to build physical strength, you must exercise your financial discipline daily. It will be hard at first. You will feel deprived. You will want to revert to your old habits. But every time you say no to an impulse, you are getting stronger. You are building new neural pathways in your brain. Eventually, saving becomes addictive. Seeing your bank balance grow gives you a hit of dopamine that is far more sustainable than buying a pair of shoes. You start to derive pleasure from watching your net worth increase. You start to feel a sense of calm confidence when you walk into a room because you know you are secure. That is the ultimate goal. Not a Ferrari, but freedom. The freedom to say no to things that do not serve you. The freedom to wake up in the morning and not worry about money.